Okay, so it's Saturday afternoon and I'm bored, so let's go ahead and make some biscuits. And we're gonna have biscuits tonight with actually with a salad, using some leftover pork chops, but whatever. Okay, this is the Gold Medal Classic biscuit recipe. Oddly enough, I don't prefer gold medal flour, but there you have it. It starts with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So I'm just going to measure 2 in here, and I preheated the oven to 450 degrees. And I was trying to make another technology thing work, but we'll see if this will work. Okay, it starts with 2 cups of flour, and into the flour you're going to add a tablespoon of sugar and 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Fun conversion fact, that's a tablespoon. So, tablespoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, just regular old table salt, and I am going to whisk that together with a whisk. Get it all incorporated. Now the fun part. This is my secret to making biscuits. Usually you have to cut up a stick of butter and use the pastry cutter to cut it into the flour. I was abysmal at that. I find this method much easier. You take a sharp, large handheld grater and you grate frozen butter into it. So I'm going to run get the butter out of the freezer. I put it in the freezer last night, hard as a rock, which is going to make it easier to grate, but you also want cold butter for your recipe because it works better. I'm sure that a pastry chef could tell you why. I don't know. Has something to do with chemistry, I'm sure. I already did math for the day on the conversion, so there you have it. That's all I can do. All right, so we're going to grate this into the bowl. And I will say you have to use a grater sharp enough to do this that you need to be careful of your thumb. Otherwise you have a bunch of bloody biscuits, which is not good. Here's where I probably should have planned for how long this is going to take to do because, yeah, this is boring. I will say this also works if you want to double the recipe. You literally just double everything, put 2 sticks of butter in the freezer, grate it all together. It works like a charm. When I was using a pastry cutter and cutting just cold butter into the flour, I could never figure out if I had it exactly the right texture. Invariably, some pieces would be too big. I'd work it too much and everything would be tough. It was just kind of a mess. So, given the fact that anytime I do this I have access to a refrigerator and freezer, why not go ahead and put the butter in the freezer and grate it. And it's pretty cold and it gives your arms a good workout. Makes you tired. also not all that fascinating. Before I did this, I got out also the milk that we're going to need. We're going to need 3/4 of a cup of milk. I'll also say, if you wanted to do this recipe and do it with cheddar biscuits, you just add the cheddar cheese in after you mix the butter in with the flour. And it's like 1/2 cup of cheddar cheese. Works great. Getting down to the end here, so I'm going to go a little slower so we don't make this a 911 episode. But this is my secret frozen butter. It's actually not my secret, I got it from somebody else, but you get the picture. Okay, down to one tiny little nub, which I'm just going to put in there and call good. Get this off the back. Super imprecise, but it works. Try not to leave too much of the fat there. Okay. Now I'm going to mix this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it. We got all kinds of just butter going in there. Wooden spoon. I'm going to mix this around until the butter and the flour are incorporated together. It really doesn't take but just a second. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks sort of like cornmeal. Really big pieces of cornmeal. Okay. Now, just going to add 3/4 of a cup of milk into the middle of my dry ingredients. This is the part that used to confound me because it always looked like it was not enough milk. Like everything was not going to get mixed in. It was just going to be too shaggy and dry. And so I would invariably either work it too much or add too much liquid to it, and then it would be too sticky. So I'll tell you, it's going to look like it's not going to all mix together. You're going to actually have dry stuff on the sides and dry stuff in the bottom here that you're going to try to coax into becoming part of what you're doing. And I'm going to stop when it's still not looking like it's all incorporated. It's not a ball, it's just a mess. And that's okay, because it's all going to work out. You will see. We'll make it work. I'm going to pull my flour canister back over here. Before I started, I wiped the counter especially clean and disinfected it. Now I'm going to take and just put some flour out onto my counter, spread it around, and dump this out. Work it together just a tiny little bit more to make sure I'm not going to leave anything on the bottom of the bowl. And this is a mess. And I know you probably can't see it. I did my best with camera placement, but it is, in fact, a mess. No worries. I'm going to fix it. All right. This is the part I felt like I always got wrong before. I worked it too much. So I'm going to just fold it onto itself to knead it. Get all the little pieces that are trying to jump off and put them back on. And I do it about 10 times. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now I'm going to use my rolling pin here. I'm just going to put some flour on the rolling pin And I have it set here on the end so that I think it's 1/2 inch. Now I can't remember, but it's about 1/2 inch that I'm going down to, between 1/4 and 1/2 inch. And now, the most important thing, aside from not working it too much, in my opinion, is to have a really good biscuit cutter. For instance, not one that's the bottom of a glass, which, yes, I did up until very recently. So I got on Amazon these, great, the sun is really helping me out here, biscuit cutters. I guess this is an Endurance brand, and there's several sizes, and I'm using one that's a little bit bigger than 2 inches, 2 1/8 inches, I don't know. And what you do is you just push down and bring it back up. You don't twist it, just push it down. It looks like this, about that thick. Do that all around what you roll it out until you can't do it anymore, which I don't know if you can see it, but there we have it. And then you gather up your dough, because you're going to be rolling that back out again. I've got my favorite biscuit pan, which is this walled cookie sheet. And I'm going to, because I like them soft, I'm going to stick them right up against each other, so you really crowd the pan. You just line them up. If you like them crisp around the edges, all you do is put them like you would cookies when you're baking cookies on the pan. So you just do like 2 inches apart on the pan. Okay, I've got this stuff left from the first time, so all I'm gonna do is roll it out again. And yep, it looks messy and not like it's going to yield pretty biscuits, but it usually does. Since I'm doing it for somebody else today, it probably won't today, but you know how that works. I frequently double this recipe because you can put them in a bag when you're done if you don't eat them all, and you can put them either in the bread box, the refrigerator, or the freezer, and then just heat them up when you want them. All right, we're almost done. We've just got a little bit left. So I'm going to continue cutting them out. And you really do just roll it until you can't roll it anymore. And then I take the remnant at the very end and I make what we always called the baby biscuit. It's what my grandmother did, what my mom did, and my dad when they baked biscuits. And the baby biscuit is, of course, for the baby in the house. So I ended up here with 15 biscuits out of that. And I've got this tiny little bit left that I'm just going to roll around. And I'm going to tuck it into this line of biscuits, trying to make it the same height as the other ones, are basically the same height. And this is what I've got. And I'm going to put them in the oven, and you bake them at 450 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. My oven, I have to really watch it. If I've got a huge pan where I've done a double batch, definitely is going to take the 10 minutes. If I don't have a huge pan full, it might take 9 minutes, depending on the day, quite honestly. So just keep your eyeball on it, but I'm going to stick these in the oven real quick. And as much as I know that you'd love to hang out with me for 10 minutes with me just talking basically to myself while they're cooking, I'm not going to do that to you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I am going to post the recipe and I will post a picture of the finished biscuits. You can also brush the top with butter when you're done. I hardly ever take the opportunity to do that because my family will put whatever they want to on them anyway. So yeah, that's it. That's biscuits. Thanks for watching.